mission upgrade for a boots on the ground experience at the Center for Spiritual Living in Western North Carolina, Asheville, land of the sky. I'm your host, Missy Hill, and here we are at the Center for Spiritual Living. And this is Adragon, say hello. And Arignani Wendy playing the singing bowl up there, who's going to tell us about a special event that's actually going on this Sunday for anybody who's local. So let's hear about this amazing event that's happening.
Hi, Missy. Yes, I'm at Center for Spiritual Living, and we have started an event here called Sacred Synergy. We did it for years at the Unity Church, but we moved it here because it's closer to downtown Asheville, and the reason we're doing this event is to honor science, consciousness, cosmology, nature, and sacred geometry, grid work, through our feet, through our resonance, through sound, through frequency. And what really made me present with this is I had a very unusual awakening. Now, as a universal faith ordained minister who has taken about 70 mystery schools over the years seeking deeper inquiry, who had an awakening through an artist called Boards of Canada. This conversation is coming out now more than ever as they drop their new album, Inferno. And I will be talking about going all the way back to when music really came into the field of awareness into our Western world, the Western Hemisphere in the U.S., when Maharishi Mahesh Yogi worked with the Beatles and Woodstock and the analog, and now we are in digital, and how this artist, Boards of Canada, really uses a lot of analog sounds, binaural synchronization, but they're not transformational electronic music. They're not, so to speak, healing music, but it goes deep into your subconscious where something really awakens. And that's what really happened to me. And I had been trying to put it into words for years, knowing I had this massive awakening in 2005 on top of a sacred mountain in South Carolina, immediately opening up an experimental audiovisual space after listening to one of their releases that came out in 2002 called Gio Gotti. So I worked for several electronic music labels and also did radio for years and had done some of the first transformational events in the Carolinas. I opened up the first sober venue in 1997, but I opened up a sober venue in 2007 to honor my friend Chris Clayton, who was an electronic musician. He was a dear friend of mine. And we used to talk about analog music constantly. We would make it, I would produce it. And so we're going to be talking about the ethos of sound and frequency. And are we doing grid work with our feet as we're dancing in the new paradigm? We are indeed. And we're going to go very deep. We're opening up a panel that is going to talk about where we are in this particular timeline, the past inside the present, the ancient future, and how so many people are having a profound awakening through sound. And this has been going on forever. But feels like a very pivotal time as we're going deeper. There's something in us, and a lot of people I talk to that are even atheists or agnostic that have listened to this album says there's something very different about, listening to this musician in particular, because it does hit a chord. It hits a familiarity. It hits something that is in our DNA. And what's so interesting, years ago, when I had this unusual awakening, unexpectedly, when I put it out to the universe, why am I here? What is this all about? What is my purpose after losing my friend to suicide? That led me to put in Boards of Canada, and I was listening to the music. I didn't know that they were using binaural beats, and there's some speculation that they had some Monroe Institute training, so we're going to go deep into the rabbit hole with this one. As a universal faith ordained minister, I really do want to break open the head to the next dimension of where we're going and where we've been, and it feels very pertinent right now. And like I said, what I love about this artist is they're not, necessarily sampling, music or material that has a real, spiritual message or intentionality. If they're doing it, they're not telling people about it. But they're taking a lot of these old material-based sounds that they use and incorporating them in electronic music in a way where you can feel the texture, you can feel the energy. It takes you back into a timeline. Even if you didn't live that timeline, there's something that starts activating in you. So I just want to honor that just by having this experience where we're going to have, musicians, we're going to have a soundscape, healing experience. It's not a sound healing experience, but it's a soundscape. It takes you into deep layering and sounds and effects deep within. We're going to have a panel. Missy Hill is going to be guiding, and myself we're going to be guiding together to really jump in audience participation as well about what they feel when they hear certain music, what moves for them, and where we're going. How we have an opportunity, I feel, to dance in the new paradigm, to really resonate with new paradigm, in this timeline. So we're also going to be starting that event at a sacred tree we're going to take you to, but we're going to have a kirtan based on one of their tracks called Nakara, which is a Hare Krishna track, and I'm happy to have Patrick Clark here, and he's going to be bringing a special guest with him. So we'll have some dance and music as well. It'll be a potluck, and of course we're going to have an orange cacao ceremony. If you're a Boards of Canada fan, you'll understand orange. But I have been really seeking, I feel like a lot of times our spiritual communities become super cliquey, but what we need to realize is the world is waking up everywhere, and our circles need to become wider, not just to have the little cliques, but to come together as one world family. And I believe science and consciousness in some place like Science of Mind really does breathe into that. I have a science background, although I grew up in a religious home with transcendental meditator parents, and my grandparents were Southern Baptist. My uncle was an electronic musician and an engineer. So I think that's what's really got me on the path of ministry where I'm going in this new paradigm. So I can't wait until we do this. This is kind of like an experiment with sound and frequency, audio, visual, taking you deeper into your cerebral cortex and opening up a more expansive end of, like, even as disclosure is just being discussed now, even on a conventional level, our galactic brothers and sisters and our ancient sacred beingness. And that could be so expansive, but we're going to do a deep dive on that, and I can't wait to show you the tree we're going to start it at. You want to follow me, Missy, to that tree?
Sure, I will do it.
So this is the same.
And I will be giving a little bit of my background for these people of how I became a galactic grid worker, paranormal historian, psychic grid reader, so they can understand how they are actually an acupuncture point on the earth wherever they go. And do you have anything you'd like to add?
That the earth we're about to go see is a Grandmaster Teacher tree, and it's connected to the entire web of all around the world and holds master teaching codes, master life codes, and knowledge from the history of the tree of earth.
And trees are connected through a mycelium network. It's interesting with the movie Avatar how they've shown this. We know it is Hollywood. However, there is truth everywhere, and the trees talk to each other. And this tree that we're going to go see is actually also connected to the angel oak tree, which is in Johns Island, which is in South Carolina, because at one time the Carolinas were connected. There was no North and South Carolina. It was just the Carolinas. So that's where we're going now. You can see the property of where we are going.
So it's interesting, when I came to this center, I did not know about the center, I knew about the tree. The tree called me in, and this is a 365-year-old tree that is definitely a wise elder tree. And what I have discovered is it is connected to the tree that is in James Island.
Which is an angel oak, which is actually called a live oak tree.
So we're gonna walk up here.
Oh, yeah.
So this tree is absolutely humbling. You see the mass
Yeah.
of this tree is something that you definitely need to experience if you ever come to Asheville. This is a very beautiful tree that we call the Tree Temple. This is where we start Sacred Synergy every weekend, every Sunday. It's also a children's center during the week, which is appropriate.
Here's the picnic tables for the potlucks and outdoor events here.
This beautiful farm has a lot of history, and what I find is I end up going to sacred places that have the same history, that have been elder wisdom keepers of the land. And this particular tree has a lot of history with an indigenous Cherokee man who was laid to rest here, coming to find out too that it was a hanging tree. And I think people come to Asheville and they do not know our history here. They wonder why there's sometimes a lot of density in the South. And what I have really learned and what I talk about is how we're clearing this density and how this opening is happening for this next generation through sound, through frequency, through dance, through movement, because a lot of generational conditioning that has been passed on has been so repressive. So moving on the earth is very important. But this is a place that we come and we let go of our mind and we let the sound take us there. By breathing, by meditating, coming into more soft and subtle sounds, more ambient sounds. So we started this tree at Sacred Synergy every Sunday. So we have drumming sometimes, we have crystal bowls, we have meditation here. But it's to sit in the glory of nature and the unknown. And then we go do a potluck, which is the tapas potluck Missy Hill showed you over here on the picnic tables. But what I talk about is who this tree being is. And it's beautiful because this tree being definitely called me here before I even went to the sanctuary. I actually did not even know it was connected with the Center for Spiritual Living. I was feeling a heaviness that a lot of our communities don't have a place to meet in the middle. It feels like we've really developed a lot of spiritual cliques, but we haven't had a place to really come together and really talk about the deeper level beyond the surface and coming into the heart on the deeper level of not, the separation and segregation that is happening in our community. And then I found out this tree has represented a lot of the history of the land. And it is older than the birthplace of our country, older than the 250th year. This is a 365-year-old tree that stands strong here, that has a lot of history. Tapping into the analog, tapping into the mycology. It's a real healing tree, just a place to be in the tree temple. We also have a labyrinth over here, so people can be self-navigational and come here and just sit and chill, breathe, come back down to earth, and just turn it off. Just let go of their mind and let the sound of nature take you there as well. And I realize there's cars that pass by and things that are not typical nature sounds, but you'll catch a lot of bird species you don't hear in Asheville because this tree has so much nutrients, I believe, that the birds even feel it. There's a lot of different bird species I've seen at this tree that have been like, I've never seen this bird species here before. This is an ancient being of Asheville and people should really get to know it. If you want to come to Asheville and you want to have an Asheville experience and you don't have all day, this is a place that you can really tap in and just be. So that's why I wanted to do Sacred Synergy, and I do believe this tree is a big supporter of this work. And so we have the labyrinth, if you want to show them the labyrinth down there, Missy. And obviously this is a day school for children.
Yeah, I love labyrinths because labyrinths will balance the hemispheres of your brain to become more synchronized. Here's the labyrinth.
And this event too is going to be about hemispheric synchronization. And so some of the practices that we're going to do, some of the sadhanas we're going to do, also has to do with balancing both hemispheres of the brain. So we'll have some breath work involved as well. But yeah, I'm just a very like happy-go-lucky. Sometimes things channel and they're like, I need to launch this, I need to do this, and this felt like the most appropriate place for me personally to really honor this ethos happening through sound with this new album, Inferno, by Boards of Canada. Come join us at Sacred Synergy from 4 till 8:30. Like I said, it'll be a potluck, and let go of your mind and let the sound take you there.
Well,